Welcome to Atlanta's Commercial Real Estate Show, brought to you by Bull Realty, the show for property owners and business leaders. Host Michael Bull brings you market analysis, advice, and opportunities around Atlanta.
Welcome to the show. We're so glad you could join us. My guest today is Amanda Rhein. She's Senior Director of Transit-Oriented Development and Real Estate with Marta. She's here in Studio One. Amanda, thanks for being with us.
Happy to be here.
We appreciate it. And, you know, development around the Marta station seems to be one of the most important things for a city because, you know, if we're going to really be able to utilize Marta to get around, it'd be better if we don't have to get in a car to get there, right? If there's shopping, and if there's work, if there's housing around these stations. So I'm so glad to see that you guys have an initiative for development. So is that your main mission every day?
That's absolutely my main mission every day. I oversee the Office of Transit-Oriented Development and Real Estate. So we do have a lot of real estate functions within my office in addition to the TOD program. But that initiative is really why I was brought to Marta, to bring some focus and resources to the implementation of that program. So for the past 3.5 years, that has been my mission at Marta, to implement the program. When I started, I was given a goal to have 5 projects underway within a 2-year time frame. And fortunately, we have met that goal. Underway for us means that they're in process. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're under construction, but we do have 3 projects under construction right now, which I'm very happy to report. And work is underway to bring several others into production. Okay,
and let's talk about those 3 projects that are going on right now. Tell us.
Sure. So the first one to break ground within our program was at the Edgewood-Candler Park Station on the East Line. That is a partnership with Columbia Ventures. They're our development partner. We go through a competitive solicitation process to identify a development partner who will implement transit-oriented development on Marta-owned property at our stations. So we selected Columbia Ventures to implement the vision that was set forth by Marta and the community. They submitted a great proposal. It's going to be a multi-phase project. The first phase, which is under construction right now, is 224 apartments. Their framing is well underway, so it is vertical and nearing the point at which it will top out. And then as part of that first phase, there will also be a public green space, some sort of commercial activation on that green space. Think a walk-up, restaurant, food cart, that kind of thing that helps to activate the green space and also provides an amenity to the community. And we're hopeful that it will also include a 20,000 square foot performing arts center, which would become home to a nonprofit organization called Moving in the Spirit. They're in the midst of their capital campaign right now, but we think it would be a really wonderful complement to the project. And then later phase will probably include some mix of commercial and residential.
Okay, and the second one?
Second one is Avondale, so just a couple stops down the East Line within the city of Decatur. That project is a little bit larger. We actually also selected Columbia Ventures as our development partner there, and they recently have brought in Cortland Partners to serve as an additional resource on the first phase. So that project overall will be built over a couple of phases as well. The first phase will include overall it'll be about 500 residential units. So that will include multifamily, senior affordable. There'll be about 92 senior affordable units. And then in a later phase, condominiums as the market permits. And then there's also a considerable amount of street level retail. That's really important for us to have in all of our projects because it really activates that space and makes it more of a pedestrian friendly environment. So it brings the focus to the pedestrian rather than the car where it traditionally has been. And then in that project, we're also hopeful that there will be a 25,000 square foot educational facility. So the City Schools of Decatur is considering the site right now for a future early childhood learning center. Right. So we're very excited about that. And again, we think it'll be really complementary to the project.
That's great. And tell us about the third one.
So the third one is in the city of Chamblee at our Chamblee station. We actually just had our groundbreaking ceremony for that project this week. And construction is well underway. Our development partner there is a joint venture of Patillo Industrial Real Estate and Parkside Partners. Patillo was previously located in the Stone Mountain area. They've decided that they want to move their corporate headquarters to a more transit accessible location, because they recognized they were having some trouble attracting and retaining new talent. So they needed to be in a more attractive location. So they did a big search, decided on the city of Chamblee, and worked with us to submit a proposal for a piece of property that we own across the street from the Chamblee station. So that project will actually be built in one phase. There has been a lot of interest in that. It was initially planned for 2 phases, but because there's so much interest, they're going to do it all in one phase, and that's about 80,000 square feet of Class A office space, and again, street level retail to activate the pedestrian environment.
And that's great. So they're the anchor tenant, so there's also space available for tenants.
Correct. Yes.
Right. And if someone has a business and they're interested in maybe office space or retail space at these transit-oriented developments, is there a one place to go that they could start to look?
So we do have a great resource right now. It's a website that has individual pages for every project that we have that's underway. So there you can find out information on the scope of the project, the timeline, the community input that has been received on the project, the benefits to the community, and we also list our development partners there. But you can always contact us at Marta, and we can put you in touch with the appropriate person.
And what is that website?
The website is courbanize.com/Marta.
Okay. Well, great. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back to talk about more transit-oriented development around Atlanta. Stay with us.
Raise the value of your commercial real estate project by telling your story to a national TV audience. CRE Groundbreakers, a new branded content series coming to TV this fall. Details at barnescreativestudios.com.
Welcome back. My guest is Amanda Rhein. She's Senior Director of Transit-Oriented Development and Real Estate with Marta. And Amanda, we were talking about some ongoing projects, but you have some new projects that are going to happen as well, right?
That's right, yes. One of those projects is at our King Memorial Station. It will involve the redevelopment of the south parking lot there. It was actually one of the first projects that we had released for redevelopment within our TOD initiative, but we encountered a series of obstacles that delayed the project and then ultimately required that we bring on a new development partner. But we're excited now to be working with the joint venture of Place Properties and H.J. Russell and Company. And they're going to be implementing about 400 apartment units with street level retail. But the exciting thing about this project is that it will be modular construction. So it's introducing a new construction methodology for us, and we're hopeful that if it's successful and it goes smoothly, it can kind of serve as a model for what we do at other stations.
Maybe just 3D print them as well there, right?
Who knows?
And then you have a project that's going to happen at the Art Center?
Right. So we're really excited about our Art Center Station TOD project. We started the process of selecting that station with what we called a request for expressions of interest. So we were really looking at our foremost urban stations and the ability to develop the air rights above those stations. That's something that you see in other cities across the country, but it's never something we've tried here in Atlanta. So we went out to the development community and asked them, of those 4 stations, it was Lenox, Art Center, Midtown, and North Avenue, where was the best near-term development opportunity? And we heard back that Art Center really was the best one, given everything that's happened in Midtown. So we decided to move forward with an RFP, and we selected a joint venture of Cousins Properties and the Integral Group. And we've been working with them for over a year now to really test the feasibility of what they proposed for the project, because it is so complicated. It's about a 6-acre site, but within that site, we have a subway tunnel, we have the train station, and we have 10 bus bays. So it's a matter of incorporating all of those transit elements into a private project while maintaining service, which is very complicated. Right. So we've been working with them to kind of figure out all of that, figure out how much it will cost, and also have started what's called an environmental assessment process, which is part of the National Environmental Protection Act, so that we can position ourselves to pursue federal funding if necessary in the future.
What is the impact, Amanda, of these transit-oriented developments? Like I said in the beginning of the show, it's something I think we need. We need more places to live, work, dine, shop, play, and at these stations, so we don't have to get in a car again or get on another bus. So what is the economic impact around these developments?
Well, the the objective for Marta in implementing this program is to generate ridership by establishing new uses at our stations and also creating transit accessible destinations. We also are looking to generate some non-fare box revenue by selling and leasing our property to third-party developers. And then the third goal is economic development, as you mentioned, both regional economic development as well as local community development within the neighborhoods where our stations are located. So from an economic development perspective, we think creating these transit accessible places is really important because it gives people a place to live or work that is on the system. But bigger picture, we also recognize that companies really do want to be in walkable, transit accessible locations, and so we're really trying to meet that demand through our TRD program.
Yeah, I think there's huge demand. You know, we represent tenants looking for space, and you know, they do want to be on MARTA. They want to be accessible. They'd like to be urban, and
Right.
So I think it's a great opportunity. But as you said a moment ago, there's a lot of complexities of developing when you have all these things coming together. You have the roads, you have the transit. So what are some of the difficulties you guys have to deal with these developments?
So one of the biggest challenges we deal with is just kind of the transit infrastructure. So I mentioned replacement parking. Our program is really modeled around the redevelopment of our old surface parking lots, which were constructed at a point at which the land use patterns in Atlanta were different. Marta was constructed to bring people in from the suburbs to the central business district, which was downtown. That was it. Now, you know, we have multiple job centers, edge cities. People are increasingly living in the city and in these urban centers. So we don't have as great of a need for those parking lots as we once did. So the opportunity is to redevelop, repurpose, put into a higher and better use all of that surface parking. So that's really what the focus is for us.
Yeah, and you talked about increasing ridership. Well, I think the DOT can help with that. They're just cut a hole in 85,
right? And
you had a lot of ridership. I bet that's been a challenge, right? The sudden increase.
It's been a challenge, but a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes. On the operations side, our team significantly stepped up to meet that challenge and that opportunity. We had increases in service. We had more vehicles out, both trains and buses, more staff out in the stations. We had people helping those purchase tickets if they had never done that before, directing them where they were going to go. We also sought to provide a significant amount of additional new parking. We identified about 2,500 new parking spaces that our patrons could use if they were driving to the station, so that they really wouldn't have a reason not to use Marta. And so we have definitely seen an increase in ridership and are just hopeful that we'll be able to sustain that once I-85 reopens.
Yeah, and I would think there'll be a lot of people now that have experienced it. They're like, wait, this is convenient. I can read the paper. I can listen to the Commercial Real Estate Show, Atlanta's Commercial Real Estate Show,
Exactly.
on the way to work. Well, stay with us. We'll have more right after this message. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you in part by your friends at Bull Realty. When your business requires proven performance, visit bullrealty.com or call 800-408-BULL. Welcome back. We're talking about transit-oriented development with Amanda Rhein, Senior Director of Transit-Oriented Development and Real Estate with Marta. And Amanda, one of the things that really is driving values of commercial real estate around the country really is walkability.
Yeah.
So what do you see there related to the developments around the Marta stations?
Yeah, it's really important. Chris Lineberger recently produced some research on Atlanta specifically. His report was called the Walk Up, Wake Up Report, and it looked back to 1990 and how investment has changed in Atlanta, specifically as it relates to what he defines as walkable urban places. These are walkable urban places that are typically served by transit, but that have good pedestrian infrastructure. And he saw that from 1990 to 2000, real estate investment in these walkable urban places was about 13% overall, looking at the region as a whole. And then the next 8 years, from 2000 to 2008, it increased to about 24%. But since then, it's increased to 60%. So there's a very clear trend there, and that's investment that's taking place in less than 1% of the land area in Atlanta. So we certainly think that that trend is going to continue, that people continue to be interested in investing in these places. People want to live here, people want to work here. Employers recognize that if they want to be competitive and attracting and retaining employees, they really need to be in these type of walkable urban places. So we're seeing a real demand for proximity to Marta, and that's reflected in real estate prices, it's reflected in rents, it's reflected in the number of corporate relocations that are coming to Atlanta, and specifically citing Marta proximity as a factor in their decision making.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. It's all about quality of life, right? And if you're spending 2 hours of your day in traffic, that's not very pleasant. And I have a little place up at Lake Lanier, and sometimes I'm tempted to come in the morning in the car, but I can't do that because I will be in such a bad mood by the time I get here. I won't be able to sell real estate worth a flip, right? Right,
exactly. And I don't think people realize how it erodes quality of life until you give Marta a try and you experience having a stress-free commute, being able to be productive or just relax on the train. It really makes a difference overall in your day and in the end in your quality of life.
Yeah. Well, everyone should just listen to Atlanta's Commercial Real Estate Show while they're on the train. So what is the future of transit-oriented development, the future of Marta? What should we expect down the road?
So
or down the track.
Yeah, there you go. It's a really exciting time to be working at Marta right now. Last year, within the city of Atlanta, the citizens passed a referendum to levy a half-cent sales tax to support transit expansion within the city proper. That initiative is called More Marta. And we're going through the process right now of evaluating all of the projects that were initially identified as potential funding recipients to figure out what's going to get implemented first and how that $2.5 billion that's expected to be raised through that referendum will get spent. And with that, we certainly expect there will be a significant impact on real estate. There may be some MARTA-led transit-oriented development opportunities, but really the private sector is going to be largely the beneficiary because these are new transit alignments that are going along public right-of-way within existing areas. So it's really going to allow for improved first mile and last mile connectivity to and from our existing infrastructure, but also just kind of the densification of Atlanta, which will make it a more walkable place, certainly a more transit-rich environment, and I think have a positive impact on the quality of life within the city.
And you're also getting new cars, right?
New rail cars. Yeah. Yes, that's a significant investment for us. The procurement is underway right now, so by the end of the year that should be complete. But it will take a while for the rail cars to actually be delivered and come into the system.
Well, everyone likes that new car smell, right? So
yes.
When might that be? What would you expect to see that?
It's several years that it will take to actually bring those in, test them, and put them into service. But we continue to invest in the maintenance of our existing fleet, and if you go to other cities, I think you can see that MARTA, relative to other transit systems, is very clean, very safe, and the equipment that we do have is in very good condition.
Yeah. So what else is in the future for us from MARTA?
Well, we'll continue to pursue our TOD initiative. We would really love to get some projects underway on the South Line or the West Line. Those are clearly more challenged communities, but I think if we're creative and we find the right partners and are able to find potentially some public resources to bring to bear, we'll be able to attract some development to those areas. I mean, that's really kind of the next frontier in Atlanta. You're starting to see some development coming as a result of the Beltline West Side Trail and the redevelopment of Fort McPherson. So I think those are two major catalytic projects, but we have a lot of stations really where there hasn't been much investment. So we're looking forward to pursuing those opportunities in the future too.
Well, that's great. I think there's a lot of opportunity there because, like we talked about earlier, the quality of life and the value of these projects. And we're so glad that you're heading it up. You're doing a great job. Thanks for all you do and all you guys are doing at MARTA.
Yeah, it's a wonderful time to be there.
Yeah, well, thank you. And thanks for being with us on the radio stations around Atlanta, or maybe you're watching on YouTube or iTunes. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you'd like to know more, we'll have a website to MARTA, and you can reach out to me if you're interested in leasing space or buying space around the station. I'm Michael Bull. This is Atlanta's Commercial Real Estate Show.